Hey, what's up, Street Talks? Eric from the Eric Street Photography blog. So I'm just gonna share with you some ideas on entrepreneurship. So it's kind of funny, like this notion of entrepreneurship didn't really actually exist when I was a kid. The whole thing was becoming self-employed or working for yourself or not having a boss. Now it's a little bit, the last 10 years, how's it changed? Last 10, 20 years, how's it changed? Actually, I think when I was a kid, and even when I was in college, the notion of like working for yourself or becoming self-employed, not having a boss was like quite a big idea. So like even one guy I give a lot of credit to is Tim Ferriss, the 4-Hour Workweek guy. I read his book and it was really great for me because it opened up my eyes to knowing that there's just like different modes to living. And this is probably the biggest benefits I got from traveling. It isn't necessarily because traveling is the best thing in the world and traveling has brought me more happiness, joy. It's kind of like a philosophical thing, discovering that through travel, you discover there's different modes of living, there's different modes of approaching life, there's different modes to everything. And things don't gotta be one way, which means you could change things, and it means that you become a little bit less of a social slave. You could do things a little bit differently, right? So entrepreneurship is kind of the catchy phrase right now. Maybe let me be more specific. I wanna, let's take it back to basic. Let's just talk about becoming self-employed. So assuming you're a sole proprietor, you're the only employee, you're your own boss, and you don't work for nobody, but also nobody works for you, which I kind of like this idea, because now the whole notion is, all right, I want to create the next $1 billion startup and I need like, $10 million of funding from people's X, Y, and Z. And it tends to be a little bit depressing because that's a little bit more difficult to practically attain than to become self-employed. So the first goal is this: become self-employed, pay your rent and food, and then just don't work your 9 to 5. That's a very basic notion. So how does one do this? So I'll give you like what's worked well for me. So let me just talk to you a little bit about my personal history. So first and foremost, I was born in 1988, growing up as a kid, blah, blah. And actually, even as a kid, one of my big things in life was I never really wanted to work for nobody else. And I just wanted freedom. The thought of working for the man was such an unappealing idea, right? And so when I'm in college, initially I went to UCLA as an undergrad, and I actually initially I didn't really know what I wanted to do, so I went into bio because I was going to become a good doctor like my grandfather. And I did one semester of biology, hated it because I'm so bad at maths and science or whatever. And so I went to the registrar's office. I'm like, yo, I'm gonna switch my major, and look in the list of majors, and I see sociology. I'm like, who? Sociology, society. I like society. I like people. I'm gonna study that. And that actually ended up being the best decision of my life. So I'm studying sociology. I'm like learning all these things about life and society, whatever. Essentially, it was my first foray into philosophy. Around my, I wasn't really thinking about what I wanted to do in my life. Around my sophomore, junior year-ish, I was like, maybe I should become a sociology professor because I love to teach. I love this field, blah, blah. And then, I meet Cindy. Cindy gives me a lot of advice and guides me. And then kind of around senior year, I'm like, do I want to be in school for another 10 years? I'm like, yeah, I don't want to do that. So Cindy forwards me this internship, around my senior year. It's like, oh, do you want to make Facebook and social media your career? Apply for this internship doing social media marketing or something. I'm like, oh, this sounds awesome. So I applied for an internship, get it. After I graduated, I actually ended up getting a full-time job there. I was an online community manager, which is a combination of customer support and doing social media marketing, whatever. That was a really good thing for me because this is what I did. I worked my 9 to 5 job while building up my blog, my YouTube, and my name on the side, and collecting my paycheck. And this was great because I was able to build up my audience. I wasn't so stressed. I could pay my rent. And eventually, I got made redundant from my company, and I was like, okay, this is the opportunity for me to try to do the street photography thing full time. how I'm gonna make money selling t-shirts, whatever. And then essentially like I did one workshop, shout out to my friend Lorin in Beirut, Lebanon, and also my friend Mohammed. They both kind of invited me to do a workshop in Beirut, Lebanon. I think it's like 2011-ish, and never did a workshop before. I didn't even know it was a concept or a thing, and went super well. And I was like, maybe if I charge X amount of charge, let's say this is my maths, right? I'm like, okay, let's say I charge $300 for a workshop, get like at least 10 students to sign up, which sounds doable. At least I could pay my rent and pay my living expenses. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to aim for like $2,000 to $3,000 a month just to cover my basic expenses, and then that was the basic thought. And 10 years later, I'm still here, so I'm quite happy about that. So it seems like the first goal is reduce your expenses to the minimum possible, and also just like, I didn't have a business plan, but I just kind of was just doing some basic math. I'm like, okay, let's say I sold a t-shirt and make a $10 profit off of it. I just sell 300 t-shirts to pay my rent. I'm like, selling 10 t-shirts a day is actually kind of hard. So I'm like, okay, that's not it. And also I have a passion for teaching, and teaching workshops seemed like a good one. And even now, I would still say it's kind of a good business model. And also I think, I think this is actually a good notion where people in Silicon Valley talk about having a side hustle. This is also a very good notion too, because you could build up your business on the side while you could collect your paycheck. And then when you decide to bounce from your company, you could do that. So that's the big thing. And the question is too, is like, how bad do you want it? Like, not everyone needs to be self-employed. You got a job at Google or something, you're happy, dude, like all the power to you. But then if you're the type of person that you really want to become self-employed, that's kind of a different question, right? And so if you really, really want to be self-employed, you got to make sacrifices. Sacrifices could be like, downsizing your apartment, sharing a roommate with somebody else, essentially make your rent as physically cheap as possible, sleep on a mattress on the ground, I don't know, move back in with your mom, whatever. So reduce your rent to the minimum, and also reduce your expenses to the minimum. So, just cook all your food at home, buy a $20 crock pot, start crock potting like 99-cent chicken legs or 99-cent pork, whatever it may be. Keep your food super cheap, don't drink alcohol. Essentially, you kind of need to choose the life being an aesthetic, but not for the point of just like, punishing yourself or whatever. It's because you want to become self-employed that bad that you're willing to sacrifice these things. And, also basic things like, depending, right? Give up your car or sell your car or whatever it may be. Get rid of anything that has expenses. So like that also means like stop subscribing to Spotify, to Netflix, to any sort of like entertainment-based thing, right? Just read books instead. Go to archive.org or gutenberg.org, start reading free ebooks on philosophy. And then, then what you gotta do, at least, is different for everybody, but it seems like still now, the notion of starting a blog and having a YouTube channel seems like the best strategy. So making your own website blog, bluehost.com, install wordpress.org, one-click install, register your own domain name, ideally firstname, lastname.com. If not, firstname, lastname, photo.com or firstname, lastname, art.com or whatever it may be. And you start a YouTube channel, which means just start to blog or vlog about anything you find interesting and just mention your name, mention your blog. Hopefully people link back to you. Start a newsletter. I like using MailChimp.com. Keeps things simple. Get people to subscribe to your newsletter. Don't fuck with social media, waste of time. And then start to, then you develop, a product, whether it be like physical products, digital products, teaching workshops, offering consulting sessions, whatever. And so then the ultimate goal in life just ends it to be just pay your rent. And then, the point is to make a living, not a killing. And then after that, you could pursue whatever existential needs and desires that you want. So that's the first step towards self-employment. I'll share some more thoughts with you later. Peace out.